Welcome to Father of History, where we reveal the facts behind the myths of history. Today, we're going to talk about the death of Cleopatra, the last queen of ancient Egypt, and one of the most famous women in history. Cleopatra was born in 69 BC, as a member of the Ptolemaic dynasty, a Greek family that ruled Egypt since the death of Alexander the Great. She became queen at the age of 18, after the death of her father, and ruled with her brother husband, Ptolemy XIII. She was intelligent, charismatic, and fluent in several languages. She also had a keen interest in politics and diplomacy. Cleopatra's life was marked by her relationships with two powerful Roman leaders, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. She met Caesar in 48 BC, when he came to Egypt to pursue his rival Pompey, who was killed by Ptolemy's agents. Cleopatra seduced Caesar and convinced him to support her claim to the throne against her brother. She gave birth to a son, 𝙎𝙪𝙗𝙧, whom she claimed was Caesar's heir. She also visited Rome with Caesar and lived in his villa until his assassination in 44 BC. After Caesar's death, Cleopatra returned to Egypt and made 𝙎𝙪𝙗 her co-ruler. She then allied herself with Mark Antony, who was one of the triumvirs who ruled Rome after Caesar's death. Antony was fascinated by Cleopatra and fell in love with her. He married her in 36 BC, despite being already married to Octavia, the sister of Octavian, another triumvir. Antony and Cleopatra had 3 children, twins Alexander Helios and Cleopatra Selene, and another son, Ptolemy Philadelphus. Antony and Cleopatra's alliance angered Octavian, who saw them as a threat to his power and legitimacy. He declared war on them in 32 BC, accusing them of treason and aspiring to make Egypt the new capital of the Roman world. The war culminated in a naval battle of Actium in 31 BC, where Octavian's fleet defeated Antony and Cleopatra's fleet. The lovers fled to Egypt, hoping to escape Octavian's wrath. However, Octavian pursued them and invaded Egypt in 30 BC. He captured Alexandria, the capital of Egypt, and demanded that Antony and Cleopatra surrender. Antony refused and tried to fight back, but his forces were outnumbered and outmatched. He received a false report that Cleopatra had killed herself, and in despair he stabbed himself with his sword. He was brought to Cleopatra's mausoleum, where he died in her arms. Cleopatra was then captured by Octavian's soldiers and taken to his palace. Octavian offered her a chance to live if she agreed to be his prisoner and accompany him to Rome for his triumphal parade. Cleopatra knew that this would mean humiliation and disgrace for her and her children. She also knew that Octavian planned to kill 𝙎𝙪𝙗, whom he regarded as a rival claimant to Caesar's legacy. Cleopatra decided to end her life rather than submit to Octavian. But how did she do it? This is where the legend begins. According to the most popular version of the story, Cleopatra killed herself by allowing an asp, a venomous snake, to bite her on the breast or arm. She supposedly smuggled the snake into her chamber in a basket of figs or a water jar. She also persuaded her 2 loyal handmaidens, Irais and Charmian, to join her in death. But is this story true? Or is it a fabrication? There are several problems with this version of events. First of all, there is no evidence that Cleopatra had access to an asp or any other snake in her captivity. Octavian's guards would have searched her chamber and belongings carefully to prevent any suicide attempt. Second, an asp bite is not a quick or painless way to die. It would have caused severe swelling, bleeding, convulsions, and agony for hours before death. Third, there were no witnesses or reliable accounts of Cleopatra's death. The only sources we have are Roman writers who wrote decades after the event and who were influenced by Octavian's propaganda. Some alternative theories suggest that Cleopatra used a different method to kill herself. Some say that she used a poison needle or hairpin to prick herself with a lethal dose of venom or poison. Others say that she applied a toxic ointment or paste on her skin or lips that caused her death when ingested or absorbed. These methods would have been more discreet and effective than a snake bite. However, there is another possibility that challenges the whole idea of suicide. What if Cleopatra was murdered by Octavian? Some scholars argue that Octavian had a motive and an opportunity to kill Cleopatra and make it look like a suicide. He wanted to eliminate her as a political rival and a symbol of resistance. He also wanted to avoid the scandal and backlash of executing a woman, especially a queen and a mother. By staging her death as a suicide, he could portray her as a coward and a traitor, while also exploiting her legend for his own glory. So, what do you think? How did Cleopatra die? And why does it matter? Cleopatra's death marked the end of an era and the beginning of another. It was the end of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the Hellenistic culture that had flourished in Egypt for 3 centuries. It was also the end of the Roman Republic and the civil wars that had plagued it for decades. It was the beginning of the Roman Empire and the Pax Romana, the long period of peace and stability that Octavian, as Augustus, established. It was also the beginning of a myth that has captivated generations of people, who have admired, vilified, or romanticized Cleopatra as a woman, a ruler, and a legend. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more history uncovered. Thanks for watching.